everyone, welcome to Nerds Talk. I'm Mike.
And I'm Chris.
And I'm James.
And today we are doing episode 4 of our Star Wars Saga review. We're going through the complete Star Wars Saga from the beginning to the end, ending up with the latest movie that's going to be coming out in theaters. So by the time you see our last video in this series, the movie will be out, and then we'll put up a review of that. But with that being said, today we are reviewing Solo, A Star Wars Story, as it chronologically comes next after episode 3, which we just did recently. And we are going to go through our thoughts on that, our review essentially. We'll go through spoiler-free at the beginning, then we'll go into heavy spoilers, and then we'll actually rank the movies and kind of let you know where it falls. But before we dive into that, today our episode is sponsored by Casamade. Casamade is a Canadian company that personalizes in custom vinyl creations. From our casa to your casa, their products are custom designed to meet your style and personality. Visit facebook.com/Casamade. That's facebook.com/CAZAMADE. Whether you're looking for something unique for yourself or a gift for someone else, Casamade has something for everyone. And as you can see, they graciously provided us these awesome Star Wars mugs that you've seen us use in the last couple of videos.
Beautiful.
They're awesome, and they do a lot more custom designs, whether it's Star Wars, superheroes, Harry Potter, whatever you're into, they've got it. So check that out. So with that, we'll jump in here. So before we get into the plot and kind of go through the spoilers, let's just do a high level, did you like Solo, a Star Wars movie on its own?
Yes.
Okay.
I really enjoyed this movie.
Awesome.
One of my favorites. I have to say, I like the comedy. I like the use of the comedy. I think Phil Lord and Chris Miller did a good job. I like them personally on different movies, and they have that kind of sense of humor and bring it in. And I know that I know they brought in someone else to finish it, but just I felt like it was a fun movie. Lots of things happening. It didn't seem like there was much dullness or emptiness that was not utilized. It didn't feel like it was too long. It got to the point, and overall came together nicely as a standalone, as well as some background into the character that we know.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Chris?
Who might I say is finally dressed.
My Solo suit on. There we go. I was a little worried when it said, American Space Western Film. So I wasn't sure how they were going to spin that. So I went in with low expectations, to be honest, especially with it got such there's such bad reviews about it before it was even out.
I think that's because of another movie that came out before it and how close proximity it was to it, that it had such a negative effect. And it was only 6 months later that this movie came, or 5 months later that this movie came out, that the other movie left a bad taste in people's mouths, and they're like, I don't want to even touch this right now.
That's fair enough.
Yeah,
that's
I think
fair.
that's just my interpretation of it, but
And I think because they got rid of the director halfway through, right?
yes.
So that
They did
also
change it where it was Ron Howard who had to finish it up.
Yes, and they didn't like
spending more money on it.
and
I
like
think
the
they
fact
did
that
a lot
they were
of
winging it as
reshoots.
well.
Yeah. So it was getting a lot of bad press beforehand, which made me really worried for this movie. But you know what? I was pretty pleasantly surprised with how it went, especially with such low expectations. It was entertaining for sure. I have a few issues with it, but we'll get into that later. But yeah, overall, it was I didn't mind watching it, and I don't mind rewatching it as well.
So I enjoyed it. I liked the movie. Now again, I go to Star Wars to see Jedi, Force powers, lightsaber battles, and this had none of that. But again, this is a Western. It's Han Solo's backstory, so it's not about Jedi. He mentions it in the other movies where he's introduced that Jedis are these mystical, hokey religious monks, kind of crazy people, and it's stuff that they never really see or hear about in the galaxy anymore. This is clearly a long time since the prequels have taken place.
Correct. In
terms of time, right? And he's in his, I'd say, mid-20s, because we know that in the original trilogy he's in his 30s, right?
Yeah.
So this is mid-20 time span. So at a minimum, if he was, well, I mean, he's older than Luke, so he's got to be, it's got to be at least 25-ish years since Luke and Leia were born or whatever. Like it's been some time.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah. So I mean, the Jedi are presumed extinct and all that kind of stuff. So you're not going to get that. So I went into this movie with the understanding that I'm not going to get that. So I had low expectations, but I know that I enjoyed Star Wars, so I'm going to watch it. a lot of the hate around the movie at the time that I heard was because it wasn't Harrison Ford. Like, you can't have someone else play Solo. It's not Harrison Ford. This guy's trying to be Harrison Ford. He's not Harrison Ford, or whatever it was. And so I went in with like, it's not Harrison Ford. Just watch it. Mm-hmm. It's about Solo. Does this guy portray Han Solo? Does he do a good job doing that? And I felt yes. Mm-hmm. I thought he did a great job. Did I enjoy the movie? Absolutely. I've watched it. I thought the comedy was hit or miss, but I did side on the air of hit for most of the time. Certain characters stood out really awesome, like awesome job. Yeah. Overall, I walked out of the movie saying it was a good movie. I enjoyed it. I don't know why it didn't sell as much as it did, and I think a lot of it was people taking a stand of like, I can't believe you did this to my Star Wars. I'm not going to pay for this Star Wars. And then on top of the fact that it's also not Harrison Ford, I'm not paying for this. And it didn't do as well. But I think if people are watching it now on streaming services, they'd probably realize, oh, it's not as bad as I thought it would be. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So overall, I enjoyed it. Yeah.
Well, I definitely I knew you can't have Harrison Ford playing a younger.
No, you can't.
Han Solo, that's just a fact.
So unless you're gonna CG his face.
That's it, right? So I already knew going in, like I didn't have that expectation or even a thought. I'm like, well, he can't do it. There's no way he can do it. So have this person portray this Han Solo. I thought he did a really good job with it. Yeah,
you would want to see like a young Robert Downey Jr. When they did that, and you don't want to see that effect throughout the whole movie. I think that would give it worse than just have someone else doing his best to emulate the character, and I think he embodied him pretty well.
I agree.
Okay, so with that, let's jump into the plot, and we'll go through the movie. Stop me at any time if you want to discuss or expand on any of the moments here. So, we start the movie off. Now, keep in mind that, again, this movie not being a numbered Star Wars episodical movie, it doesn't start like a Star Wars movie. You don't have the opening crawl. You don't have the theme song. It's just, boom, we're in.
Yeah.
And let's go. And it's like, oh, okay, the movie's starting.
That's the first time that had happened.
Previously, Rogue One technically started it, but yes. They wanted to make sure that people knew that this was a Star Wars story. It adds to the lore, but it's its own movie.
That's right.
It's a fun experience. It's not like, you're not coming here to see Darth Vader and looks like you're just a place and time in Star Wars.
Correct.
Great. So it just starts, and we got on the planet Corellia. Orphan children are made to steal to survive. Young adults, Han and Qi'ra, make an escape from a local gang. They bribe an Imperial officer with stolen quaxium, a powerful hyperspace fuel, for passage on an outgoing transport. Now, this skipped a lot already. So we know that they kind of are running around stealing stuff for this crime lord, whatever, that's in this world.
Yeah.
Right? It's this big slug worm type thing that's kind of running the planet, and is basically the orphan children for them to eat and live amongst this worm and his crew. They have to steal and provide goods for her to make money, essentially. You're gonna do all the work. You're my little minions, and then you pay your way to live and eat, essentially.
Sort of a little forecast, like how Rey does in future movies, like that, to get her meals. You
got to scavenge. You got to do something. And
she doesn't steal.
Provide yourself useful. Yeah. So Han ends up finding something really valuable. He kind of shares it with Qi'ra. They go back, and while they're facing the worm, I can't remember the name here. It doesn't say it here, but Prime something. Yeah, I can't remember. But anyway, the big worm character, they're facing her, and she's all pretty much like, okay, did you get anything? He's like, no, we couldn't get anything. We got chased or whatever.
Barely got out alive.
Yeah, he's lying. He doesn't want to share what he found with her, and Kira's kind of like, just do it, just for our own good, whatever. And so whatever happens is they get into a fight. Does he attack her?
He has a rock that he pretends to be a
thermal detonator, because they're gonna basically kill them. And so he tries to get his way out, scares them. He runs out, and they steal a speeder, and there's this crazy chase scene. And again, it's setting up that he's like this really good pilot. He's a really good pilot. He wants to get out and make something of himself. And so he's out. He's doing his moves on a land speeder and kind of getting around, dodging the what do they say here? The
pursuit.
The gang, the gang that they're working for. So they basically get out, and as they get to this, I guess, airport, kind of way off the planet, they kind of sneak through, and then there are the gang leaders are kind of close on their tails. They brought these cat hounds, these dogs out to kind of sniff them out and try to find them, and so they have to sneak in, and they also see that there are Imperials and stuff asking for IDs and stopping people from getting out. So they try to sneak through. Han gets through, but Qi'ra kind of gets grabbed and taken back, so she doesn't get off the planet. She tells him to run. He runs out and realizes the only way off the planet is to basically barter his way into the Navy, or in this case, into the Empire, as a stormtrooper with, I can't remember what he uses. Does he use the quaxium?
So he uses the quaxium to get through to the like from the guard to
checkpoint?
get checkpoint to
that's
get
right.
through to see.
That's right. And then she doesn't make it, and then he ends up going in and signs up.
He signs
Correct.
up, and this
That's
person
his only
asks
way.
him what his name is. Yeah.
And someone made a crack about him being on his own, being solo. Sorry, but his name being Han. His name's Han. He's like, "What's your name?" or something. And then someone makes a joke about him being solo or being on his own. And so he goes Han Solo. So he just takes on the name Solo because he's on his own.
Yeah, well, actually, the Imperial person signing him off says, "What's your last name?" He goes, "I don't have people."
Yeah.
Or he's like, "Who are your people?" And he's like, "I don't have people. I'm alone." So like, Solo.
That's
Han
it. He
Solo.
just takes
That's
it.
how it becomes the surname of Solo.
That's it. So yeah, it says right here the recruiter gives him the name. So there we go. It's Han Solo. So it says here 3 years later, Han has been expelled from the Imperial Flight Academy for insubordination and is serving as an infantryman on Mimban, basically this crazy mud-soaked world where he's like a trench in the trenches in this war. And so he wanted to be a pilot. This was his way to kind of be a pilot and kind of get off the planet that he was on, make something of himself. So while he's in this war, there's some people dying, whatever, and he sees one of the officers or commanders telling people to go this way, go this way. So he decides to stick with him. Yeah. And it turns out to be...
Just going back, I'm going to stop you for 1 sec.
Yep.
This battle scene, you can see the blasters going through like the fog and the smoke and all that stuff. It reminded me a lot of the Attack of the Clone, where the clones are coming down. So it's the second one after the stadium battle. They're coming down, chasing Dooku and so on.
That's right.
And that's where the first time where you can really see the CG and the bolts going through and the blasters.
I really feel like this is a war. It's not just
And so that brought me back to that scene of seeing that CG and going through that and seeing the blasters through the smoke and fog and stuff like that.
And it kind of gives you a little bit of instead of like, well, there are people that are on the Empire who don't know better. They don't know that they're the bad guys. They just join them because they're the army and they believe in the cause of,
defending. Yeah.
What they believe is defending the right people and stopping terrorists and criminals and stuff like that. So they're in there and they're fighting a war and they're doing what's right. Some people don't believe or don't realize what they're really about when some of them do find out they desert, right? Mm-hmm. So it kind of gives you that ideology. Like people are dying, good people on both sides are dying in this war. And it sucks. You usually see stormtrooper like, kill a stormtrooper, but you don't realize it's just another person. Like Han was a stormtrooper. Like he just wanted to get off his world, and that was the only way to join the army. Yeah. And even in our day, you see some people who will join the army because they don't feel like they're going to get in the school they want, but they know if they go into the army and they get special educational privileges, they get a lot of other benefits with that, so they sign up for that reason, right? So it kind of gives you that perspective. So I thought that was cool. But you're right, it was a pretty gruesome war. You see people die.
Well, again, for the humor is that one of the commanders saying, "Oh, we got to get the foreign aliens off of here," and Han's like, "Actually, we're the ones invading here, so we're the foreign."
Yeah, we're the foreign aliens. Yeah,
yeah,
that was pretty good.
So I thought that was a little cheekiness right there, and again, that personality of Han.
Yep. So he encounters a group of criminals posing as Imperial soldiers, led by Tobias Beckett. Han attempts to blackmail them into taking him with them because he wants to get out of here and he doesn't want to be in the Empire anymore. Right. He wants to get out. But Beckett has him arrested for desertion and thrown into a pit to be fed to a Wookiee named Chewbacca. Now, all we know is that feed him to the beast, feed him to the monster. We don't know who it is. That's right. And so he gets thrown into, we hear growling and stuff. We see a chain. We don't know what it is until Chewie comes out and like, oh, it's Chewie. He's the beast. He's the monster. That's cool. So now I don't remember. Do they ever at all mention at all in this movie about Wookiees being slaves for the Empire? No. Because I know they talk about it in books and stuff. I'm just curious if it was dropped at all in this movie. Not. Okay. So anyway, so Chewie's basically being tied up, and he's in this pit, and so they feed deserters and whoever else they want to feed him, and so he's like, he hasn't eaten in like days or whatever it is, so he's gonna be really hungry.
Yeah, so the people and things.
Yeah, the people are like happy to watch this fight. Essentially,
two stormtroopers at the top there,
almost like the Rancor. Yeah, like we got this little cage, throw someone in, and let them eat, right? Yeah. So that was cool. So when I first saw that, I was like, oh, what kind of beast is this going to be? Like, see a chain. It's like the whole, like, throw you in a pit. I did not expect Chewbacca. Like, I knew he was coming in the video. I didn't expect him to come across this way. Yeah. But they come out. Chewbacca comes out. They start fighting. Chewbacca, like, whips him against the wall. He's doing stuff to him that I thought would break his bones, especially as strong as Wookiee is. Somehow, Han comes out, maybe bruised at the bone.
And even he starts to drown him in the mud.
Yeah, and even the stormtroopers mentioned because he's, I guess, stopped moving. He's like, "Oh, I finished him off too fast."
Yeah, slow down.
They're getting joy out of this show. Like it's a show to them, right?
Yeah.
So
absolutely. So he's in there, and so Chewbacca's like growing on him, whatever, is choking him, and so he's able to understand Chewbacca's language. Han persuades him to cooperate to escape.
Yeah, he actually talks
So he starts saying
yeah.
Shriwuk. He starts talking to him and whatever, doing his stuff.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, I understand a little bit. And then basically says, you know, we can work together. It's like, you're a slave here, and like I am. Like, I don't want to be here. Let's get out of here. Work together. And so it kind of makes it feel like you need me to get out of here, and like let's work together. And so they do it. He's like slamming into the pole, whatever it is, and break it. They sort of fall down.
There we go. Yeah.
It was a fun scene. It was
exactly.
So they did that. They escape. Where is it here? Okay, so Beckett, aware of the usefulness of a Wookiee's strength, rescues and enlists them in a gang to steal a shipment of Quaxim on Vander 1. So they kind of join up with them. They're about to take off in their stolen Imperial ship, whatever. And so they're like, we're coming with you. And it's like, okay, fine, yeah, we could use a Wookiee strength, whatever. Okay, fine, come with us. And he's like, you know, we're together. We're like a pair. Whatever.
Yeah, and I think that, again, that battle where them fighting and then kind of shows their relationship and bond from that point, right?
Yes.
That, hey, you can trust me. I'm here for you to get out. And once we're out, if you want to go, then go.
Yeah, if you want to go, you can go.
Yeah. And then being together, and I think that shows that, hey, there's a little more than just trying to get out for the sake of getting out with each other.
So here's the thing, though. So we know that in the original trilogy and stuff, they talk about like Chewbacca is with Han because of a life debt, because he saved his life, and so like he owes him. And you know, when you have a life debt, you're pretty much like bound to this person for life. Like until you can save their life, like you're pretty much you're by their side because he saved your life. You're like my life is yours kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
And so that's kind of been the understanding for the original trilogy. This is supposed to explain that. So at this point, some people feel like that's where he saved his life. He saved him from that cage, but he wasn't dying there, or he didn't almost die. So I don't feel this was the point of the movie where he saved his life. Some people do. Thoughts?
I mean,
I think later on the train he does it literally, but
yeah. I don't think this is the part where
this is the part because they never mentioned life debt. Never mentioned. He just kind of says like, you can go if you want to, and she was like, oh, I'll stick with you. Yeah. Okay, they never talk about life debt. Never talk about that in specific. But later on, when we get here, they get around a campfire. They're talking about a plan, about a score that they want to get a lot of money, have a better life. And so they all have this plan to steal a shipment of Quaxium on Vander 1. Quaxium is very, very lucrative. It's what's used as hyper jumping fuel to do hyperspace travel and stuff like that. Correct. So so they decide to go to this planet. There's this train that always has a shipment of it. They feel like they can get on this train and like somehow separate it and steal the train car. They can steal all of it and then sell it and get rich and do what they need to do with it. So they all agree. The plan goes awry when the Cloud Riders, a group of so-called terrorists led by Enfys Nest, arrive and start attacking them as they are seemingly going pretty well on the train. Correct. So they have one person that's supposed to be setting on one end of the track to take out the droids and I think to detonate the bridge or something like that. Yeah, detonate the bridge. Yeah. And then we have Rio, who's going to be on the ship. That's basically going to be flying the ship while the crew members have to go and attach the cables and whatnot to the train. And range troopers show up, a new type of stormtrooper with these magnetic boots. They hang on the train to defend the stuff. It's basically Empire, property of the Empire. Yeah. And so they're there. And then they have these pirates known as Enfys Nest and her crew who show up and always seem to get in the way. And so she shows up and she seems to be this person seems to be a real really cool character. Yeah. Really lethal, very strong, able to hold their own, fight them off, do some damage, whatnot. And despite that person's best efforts, they aren't able to completely steal the car. So they're kind of like in a landlock where the pirates have like one half of the tank and Beckett's crew has the other half of the tank. Yeah. And they're kind of flying and fighting with it. I think another
part that we skipped over a little bit is that the pilot gets shot. And Han has to
go
out there and pilot for
That's them. Right. Yeah. So Han goes up because I think at this point he's mentioned a couple of times about him being a good pilot, right? Yes. And they're like, "Oh, Rio's our pilot."
Yeah, exactly.
So Rio goes up and he realizes, "Oh, he's been shot pretty bad."
Yeah, like, and that's the person from Enfys Nest comes in and shoots. Yeah,
that's right. So he's up there. So he's piloting the ship. You're right. Yeah. And so, but before this happens, Chewie and him are on the train, and Chewie almost falls off. And then a rock is coming, and Han pulls him in right before the rock literally would have killed him. Yes. So I assume that's where he literally saved his life from dying. And that's what was like, you just literally saved me. I would have died. Now I'm in a life debt. Even though, again, they don't mention it in this movie, but that, for me, was the actual moment where, okay, you saved my life.
That's where the life-saving
that's like, we're best buddies. I saved your life. I care about you kind of thing.
Yeah, they were trying to uncouple the train, yes.
That's right. Yeah. So they're there, and then of course they're fighting about who's gonna keep it, and so like, oh, we gotta let it go, and then Beckett doesn't want to lose it, and so they're flying towards a mountain, and what happens is it goes into the mountain and it explodes.
Yeah, but before that,
they have to release it. But
Beckett's wife died. sacrifice herself
to save them,
destroy the droid and get rid of the.
Yes, because they said if the droids get any wind of them, then they're gonna call in reinforcements and all that stuff. And so while she was under the bridge, she was trying to take them out, and she gets taken out herself.
Yeah. So she had to blow.
Yeah. So she's dead, and Rio dies, unfortunately, and so we got Han, Chewie, got Beckett, and that's pretty much it of the crew at this point, right?
Yeah. And Beckett actually you'll get into.
Yeah. And then, of course, the destruction of Coaxium. So Beckett reveals that he was ordered to steal the shipment by Dryden Voss, so that's the name, a high-ranking crime boss of the Crimson Dawn Syndicate. This is a huge pirate organization where they are basically one of the top leaders in the underworld. There are other organizations we find out, but this is one of the top ones here. And Han and Chewie volunteered to help him steal another shipment to repay the debt. So they go off to meet this Dryden Voss to let him know, hey, we lost your shipment. We're probably going to die, but let's see what we can do and kind of squirrel our way out of this.
And the first scene that you see of Dryden Voss is him stabbing somebody and killing them for, I guess, not succeeding in what there was agreed upon.
Yep.
So it gives him instantly that image of, hey, this guy means business.
That's
and he
right.
doesn't mess around.
This is like crime. What you expect like a drug dealer or anyone to do. Like,
correct.
You lost my product. It's like you get no forgiveness. You're dead.
Yeah.
You literally don't. You don't mean nothing to me. You're just a pawn, right?
Exactly.
You give me my money and what I can do to sell, and see you later. And
That's
if you don't, then I don't need you anymore.
So he's pretty menacing. He's played by Paul Bettany, who's also plays Vision in the MCU.
Yeah.
And we see them kind of Han, Chewie, and Beckett kind of go up, and they're all having drinks and schmoozing while they're trying to get into a meeting with Dryden Voss. And so he tells like Chewie like blend in, lay low, whatever. And so I think he even says like don't talk to anyone.
Yeah, Beckett tells it.
Don't talk to anyone.
Nobody hears for you to.
So he ends up bumping into Qi'ra. Right? And so he's like, oh, Qi'ra. And so they're talking, they're having a thing. And so they kind of get into, how she had to get her way off and get her way here. She had to do some things, and she didn't go into any details, but...
Yeah, I think she got sold off.
Yeah, but but at this point, Han doesn't know. He doesn't know yet, right?
Yeah.
She feels that she just works there. He doesn't know that she's essentially a slave or whatever.
Yeah.
So she's there, and so they kind of catch up, and realize they still have a thing for each other, and she says, yeah, Dryden Voss, I know him, we're connected, whatever. So they go in and have a meeting, and she obviously comes and sits down with him, and then, or no, does he come out and meet and say hi to Han? I can't remember at this point.
Beckett meets up with him and says, I thought I told you not to talk with him.
That's right. And then Dryden Voss comes to get them.
Yeah. And then
they go to the room. He grabs her by the neck or whatever, and awkward, and kind of and they go into the room, right?
Yeah.
Kind of like ownership. This is mine. So whatever, they go into the room, they have a conversation, talk about how they lost the thing, and of course he's very angry. You can see his face, the what looks like scars, I guess is the alien part of him, whatever, kind of glows a little red when he gets angry or whatnot. So he gets angry, and in order to save their lives, they promise to like have another way of stealing him more and getting what he wants, the money and all this stuff like that. Give him another chance, to make it right. So what is it here? So Han and Chewie volunteered to help him steal another shipment to repay the debt. They said that they can get raw coaxium, and he's like, you can't do anything with it raw unless it's refined. And they're like, oh, but we know a place we can get it refined, and we can do this and do this. And he says, okay, it sounds like completely risky, but if you die doing it, you die anyway. And if you don't,
Han actually brings up, he's like, oh, we can, if we can refine it, and that's Qi'ra actually is the one who
there you go,
comes up with the planet where like, oh, there's a mines there where you can do that, or so you get it from the mines and you can. So she's actually helps him quite a bit, Han, as well.
Oh,
because he just kind of throws out the idea, hoping that something would, as long as he won't. Yeah, exactly. As long as he won't die.
So again, just trying to fly by the seat of his pants. Yeah. They travel to Voss's yacht, where Han finds Qi'ra. Well, we were into this. Who has joined the Crimson Dawn, is Voss's top lieutenant. Yeah. Han suggests a risky plan. We talked about that. Unrefined coaxium from the mines of Kessel. Voss approves, but insists Qi'ra accompany them. So he does say, I want you to go with them to make sure they're not like running away or doing anything crazy. And so she leads them because they need to get a ship, a fast ship. So she leads them to a place where they have a lot of gamblers, the infamous cantina scene that they have in a lot of Star Wars movies. And so there's this guy here who is going to have the ship that you need. He's the guy that you want to be with. He's going to help us make this thing go down. And it ends up being Lando Calrissian, an accomplished smuggler and pilot who she hopes will lend him his ship, a freighter called the Millennium Falcon. She says that all he cares about is gambling and his games and his bets, And so he said, would he be dumb enough to bet his ship? And so Han's like, I can do this. I can, I'm confident enough I can make him bet his ship.
Han bluffs that he has his own ship, right?
That's right. That's how he does it. So in the game, they're playing some hands, whatever, doing well. And so he kind of makes big talk about, oh, what's your ship? Oh, your ship's fast. Yeah, I got this one myself. Yeah. And so, of course, Lando's like, oh, really? And he's like, okay, I'm going to bet my ship.
Plant the seed.
I want you to bet your ship.
Yeah.
So knowing that for sure he's going to win. Well, in this game of Sabacc, with the wager being Lando's ship, Lando cheats to win. He has some cards in his sleeve. Yeah. Literally some cards up his sleeve. And but agrees to join the mission in exchange for a share of the profits, because when he realizes what they're actually going to do and how much money they're going to make, he says, fine, I'll let it slide, but you're going to give me a good share of this money. So after reaching Kessel and the Falcon and infiltrate the mine, actually before we get there, we get to see that we get introduced to L337, who's Lando's droid, who is all about droids' rights, free the droids. She sees them fighting and stuff. She's like, what's the matter with you? Stand up, free yourselves, blah, blah, blah. I thought it was a cute, nice change of this droid character. When we had K2SO, we have C-3PO, we have these funny comic relief type characters, and I thought this was done in a really smart comic relief way. Yeah. Funny, but at the same time has a lot of personality and is different from the average
more human-like than droid. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. With less human features, less eyeballs and stuff. Like when you look at the other protocol droids, they have eyes and mouths and stuff. This character doesn't, and yet has so much of this human quality to it. I thought it was really, really well done.
I agree. She's one of my favorite characters in this movie, because she gets a comic relief, but also is smart about it.
Oh yeah,
and realistic.
And he even talks about how fast your ship, and talking about it, and then they realize with L337 and her maps and her databases, they can get through everything, and that's why they're such a good team together. That she's him and Lando together is what makes this ship be as great as it is.
That's right.
So we get introduced to her. She kind of get out of my seat. You sit back there, I'm up here. I'm the better person.
Yeah.
Again, a lot of personality.
Also hints to Qi'ra that Lando has a thing for her.
Yes.
Which I thought was hilarious as well.
And then at the same time not really understanding feelings, because she is a droid.
Yeah. She's it would never work, but I see how it is. I have a little bit of feelings the same way.
I guess.
Yeah.
So that was cute. So they head out, and they basically have to reach Kessel in the Falcon and infiltrating the mine. Lando's droid co-pilot L337 investigates a slave revolt. She's all about freeing the droids. And in the confusion, they steal the coaxium. So this is basically a huge diversion. They first go out with handcuffs on Chewie. Again, foreshadowing. They kind of use them as a plan to kind of sneak in, because they are using Wookiee slaves here to mine.
Yeah, so she comes in selling both Han and Chewie as slaves to work in the mine.
Yes.
And so they're going to work out a deal to sell them.
Absolutely.
And that's their way of getting in.
Yep. So they get in. And during the commotion, they start fighting. They free Chewie's kind of I have to go. I gotta go free my people.
Yeah, because he sees
him and Han
people
split up.
Yeah,
and so Han's kind of going after the coaxium, and then realizes how freaking heavy this stuff is. And then Chewie's off freeing the slaves, and they all kind of band together. And then Chewie kind of comes back to him and kind of helps him with getting this, while the droids are all causing a commotion and doing their thing.
And even the slaves as well, because the droids release, I guess, their chips and stuff.
Yes.
And they're able to
revolt
without having any sort of restriction or punishment towards them.
Absolutely. So in the confusion, they steal the coaxium, but L3 is severely damaged. Lando is injured during the escape, and meanwhile, Chewbacca manages to find a group of other Wookiees. Like I said, they had gone into hiding after the Empire had conquered their original homeworld, but when the others decided to take another ship to escape, Chewbacca chooses to stay with Han. So during this whole, as they're getting out, everyone's, the base is aware. There's an uprising. Guns are going off. They realize that they're trying to steal coaxium. They're shooting at them. Han and L3, everyone's trying to do their best to survive. Han was staying on the ship the whole time, but then when he realizes what's going on, he kind of gets outside, and when he sees his droid out there and she gets shot, he snaps. He's like, no, he's out there. Lando. He comes out, he starts shooting people. He's great with a gun. He's going out, saving my droid, coming back. And of course, they're like, we gotta go. And Chewie's just loading it up on the ship. He's got the muscle. He's just getting it on the ship. Han is shooting some people. Qi'ra, they're all kind of...
Qi'ra comes out with the grenades and shoots the big Gatling guns. And
absolutely. So all together, they kind of get out.
This is where... Lando's holding L3, and he's just signaling to Han.
Yeah, just
go. You gotta go. And
he's like, you fly. Yeah, I've got to deal with this. And so it shows some emotional attachment, which again, you only ever see that on the Rebel side. The Empire treats the droids as machines. They're just slaves. They're just workers. They're nothing. They're not alive. They're just things.
Right.
Whereas the rebellion, they see them as, even though they're droids, they do see them as having humanity, as being alive, as being people, as, having their own identity. And so you feel that loss, not just the fact that they've been so much together and that he essentially loves her, has feelings for his droid. He loves her, even if it's just a love from a partner, as a romantic love. He cares for this droid, and now that she's dead, it means a lot to him. And so he finds out, like, how can we salvage her? And so he basically takes her chip, her brains, her essence, and puts it in the Millennium Falcon, which I thought was very smart, because they keep calling the Millennium Falcon a she and a her, and it literally is, because it was a female droid. Right. And I know a lot of people say that droids aren't him or her, but it was a female voice. It's a female droid. Mm-hmm. That's how I go with it. Yeah. So I'm like, that's really cool. And so now her brain's navigation, and they're like, come on, girl, you got to do it. And it's like they're talking to L3. And so now, again, it kind of enriches the original movies, I thought. Now that you think about it, the Millennium Falcon is a living, breathing thing. It is L3, essentially.
Yeah.
So that's really cool. I thought that was really smart how they did that.
Now, are they going to foreshadow that into C3PO for some?
We're gonna see. We're gonna see. We're gonna see.
That was after when they tried to escape the planet, right? So.
Yeah.
They tried to escape the planet, and then there's, of course, the Imperial blockade, the big Star Destroyer.
Yes.
They're like, well, we can't do that. So,
yeah.
So, and then they try to go through the asteroid. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, no, that's fine. So Han pilots the ship through dangerous and uncharted Kessel Run. So basically, they're talking about going to the Kessel Run, and Lana's like, you can't do it, it's impossible. Without the navigational charts, you can't do it. And she's like, well, we have no choice. We've got to do this or we're dead.
Yeah.
The Imperial blockade is here. We got to move. Yeah. So they decide to go through an uncharted territory, make a beeline or a shortcut, which then also brings clarification and understanding to the whole joke in the original trilogy of, I did the Kessel Run in 7 parsecs or whatever, and people's like, but it's a measure of distance, not speed, or not time. And they actually make it make sense in this movie with clever writing. And he does do the Kessel Run in less distance because of a shortcut. So not only did he do it faster, but the Kessel Run is a 15 or 20 parsec route, and he did it in 7. So he was able to get through it in less distance, and so that still logically makes sense. And I thought it was very smart how they brought that together by literally punching a hole through the wall, which no pilot can do. And so literally, instead of going like this doing the route, he went straight through it in less distance, which makes sense.
Yeah, and also the urgency to be like the time restraint is that the coaxium is unstable.
That's right,
and that's why they need to be.
And they actually use the coaxium to help hyperspeed through that
whole thing as they're going,
And so they use both L3's navigation to navigate where they need to go, as well as the drops of coaxium that Beckett is putting in to go
the
through.
Alien that they're dealing with that were trapped, and then they sucked it into a black hole.
That's right. So
and they needed that because they couldn't get out of that black hole, that gravitational pull. That they needed to use that.
And that's why a lot of people don't get out of the charted run, the route, is because it's very dangerous. There's black holes, there's other stuff out there. So so going through this wall, they encounter this giant creature. Yeah. We don't know what it is. It's this giant octopus-looking thing, and it's like eating and destroying ships and whatever. And so again, there's a black hole that's pulling everything towards it. And so they had this smart idea is if they can somehow lure that beast close enough, then it'll get sucked in, and then hopefully it'll block them and get them enough time to make their escape. Yeah. And in order to do that, in order for them to jump, they got to get some of that coaxium inside without it destroyed. So Beckett's there trying to figure out how to get it in there without killing himself and blowing them all up.
Yeah. And they have a certain window for the navigation with L3 that they have to hit.
Yeah, to hit it. Otherwise, they can run right into an asteroid and die. So there's all this crazy stuff going in. And of course, Han being the smuggler, being that lucky guy, all things go right. He punches it, hits the button, boom. They blast out super fast and manage to get the coordinates right and get out of there just in the nick of time, hence getting him out in that short distance.
Yeah, the 12 parsecs?
Well, yeah, he says dangerous and uncharted Kessel Run in approximately 12 parsecs. Yeah. But that's his record is 12 parsecs? It's actually longer, or he does it faster than 12 parsecs?
I believe he does it in like 12.6, but he rounds down because Chewie's
he
round down.
So it's like it's like 15 parsecs or 20 parsecs. He does it in 12. I thought it was he does it.
Yeah, I think it's Okay. Everyone's like 14, like it's 12.
That's right. So he did that. Okay, so the Falcon's badly damaged at this point. In fact, because of the beast and because of the gravitational pull, a big chunk of the front comes off and makes it look like what we know now.
Pod,
as our Millennium Falcon with a little looking like the junction in the front.
Yeah.
So they basically have to land on a planet Sabarine to process the coaxium. It's like a desert-looking planet, and as they get there, they get into a confrontation with Enfys Nest, who tracked the team from Vandor, and so they're there with her crew, and they've basically got a showdown here with this coaxium. Meanwhile, Han decides, okay, he's there. You got your full Western, got his gun, unhooks it. You're like, okay, this is going to be a shootout. This is going to be good. And then he starts trying to smart talk his way. We've got a whole bunch of people over there.
Yeah, I made one signal to them.
Yeah, and they're going to come out and kill you, and it's all over. And then Lando just takes off,
Like,
takes his broken Falcon, and is like, I'm out of here. Just upset. Like, they cheated him out of the ship.
Yeah.
You know, they take the coaxium, they killed his droid. He's just so upset, and so he's angry. He hates Han at this point, which kind of makes sense.
Again.
Yeah. So he takes off. So Emphas explains to Han, as the helmet is removed, that she is actually a female.
Correct. And
she explains to Han that she and her crew are not pirates, but rebels. So they are the first rebels that we see in this timeline. The rebels made up of victims from the tyrannical state of the galaxy, trying to strike back at the syndicates and the Empire. Han becomes sympathetic to their cause and tries to trick Dryden Voss, but the Crown Lord reveals Beckett has already alerted him to the double cross. So basically, there's this plan that they could give the coaxium to the rebels, which will help the rebel fleet, which will help them aid in stopping the Empire, which Han hates, and a lot of people hate at this point. And Han, being in it, kind of has opened his eyes to exactly what's going on. But Beckett is all about making his money. And he's like, I just did the score. Dryden Voss is going to kill me. And, you know, even if we try to steal it, we're not going to get it alive. He's going to come after us. So he says, screw it. I'm going to double cross Han and them and make this all about me.
Yeah.
And even teaches him earlier about, like,
don't trust anyone.
Don't trust anyone. And it's all looking about yourself. And kind of setting up the morals of the Han Solo we know today.
Beckett makes it seem like he's running away from Dryden Voss,
Absolutely. Yeah. So they kind of go. So they decide they're going to empty out the canisters and fill it with some fake stuff and kind of go and trick Dryden Voss, give him the fake stuff. So they go. Dryden Voss runs off and is apparently joining Dryden Voss and alerts him of the situation. So when Han and Chewie show up at the base and they're there and they have the coaxium, and so they're like, oh, this is fake, this is fake. Beckett already told me. He's like, you double-crossed us, and there's this whole big thing. Then we find out that in actuality, Han
brought the real.
Yes, he expected this double cross. So being the smart guy he is,
he knew how
he brought the real
was.
stuff in order to trick them again. So I guess a triple cross at this point. To throw them off the scent, which is smart on his part, and gets into a fight. And so it's basically Han and Qi'ra against Voss because Beckett escapes.
Correct. He takes Chewie to carry the coaxium once he realizes.
Yes, I like gunpoint or whatever.
Yeah. Well, before that, I guess Voss sends his team to try and ambush Infant's Nest and her crew, but really they were set up for it and they were decoys. And then they, take down their team. And Han says, "I hope those weren't your best."
That's right. He's like, "I already got guys here. They're already taking your man, blah blah blah." And it's like, surprise, like we were ready for you.
Yeah.
And so, Dryden Voss is really upset. This is all taking place. So Voss sends his guards to kill Infest, but the Cloud Riders overpower them instead, leaving Voss defenseless. Having anticipated Voss' strategy, Han tries to take the coaxium, only for Beckett to betray Voss. So Beckett betrays Voss now, escaping with it and taking Chewbacca hostage.
Correct.
Qi'ra and Han are now fighting, and of course, what's his face? Voss is expecting Qi'ra to be on his side to kill Han, but they work together to kill Voss. Voss has got these crazy light daggers, if you will, and is trained in the art of Marascasi, a lost art that Qi'ra is trained in.
Correct. Okay,
she makes mention of that. And there's only one person in the galaxy who uses this fighting style. That's very unique, and we'll come to that in a bit. Okay, so Qi'ra kills Voss, sends Han after Beckett. She contacts Voss's superior, and this is the part of the movie that I literally was like, "What?" in the movie theater.
I think everyone was.
Made the movie go from like, "This is a good movie" to like, "Wow, that movie is way better than I thought it was going to be."
Yeah.
And so we see that her boss is the former Sith Lord Darth Maul. He is the head of the Crimson Dawn. Crimson meaning generally red.
Yeah.
It's red face. It all makes sense.
Yeah.
And I think it was very, very smart. In fact, I think they allude to this in Clone Wars, that he's part of Crimson Dawn, or he's part of the Pirates or whatever. There's a part in that. But again, I don't want to spoil anything, but there's some ties. I'm like, oh, that makes sense. Anyway, so that's there. And to inform him of the mission's failure and to claim Voss's position. She blames the failure on Beckett, never mentioning Han, and Maul orders Qi'ra to meet with him on Dathomir to complete her training. So we know from books that Darth Maul is trained in the art of Marascasi. Is a very dangerous and lost art. That's why when the Jedi first confront him, they don't know how to fight him. It's very like unique. They're like, Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan, and they were like, "Oh, this is weird." It's an art that the Jedi have thought lost for centuries. So it's a very unique, deadly art that very few know. And so he's taught it to Qi'ra, which is why she can kick butt. So it kind of makes you, for me, they've kind of put everything on the back burner, but they can't leave the way this movie ends the way they did. So they have to finish it at this point.
I think it was intended to be a trilogy.
It was. Yeah. Now, I don't think it'll be a trilogy, but at least another movie to end it, they have to. They can't leave it like that. Like, if it was just like, oh, the boss is like Tarkin or something, like, okay, blah, 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 whatever, it's his backstory, then it could be done. But Darth Maul, no, you need to finish that and finish that. So let's hope that they make up, at least, even if it's straight to Disney Plus, make a sequel to that movie. But anyhow, we get forward. So we find out that she decides to stay behind as she is Maul's apprentice, so to speak, and she, I guess, betrays Han in not going back with him and stays true to her master. In this case, is Darth Maul. Han catches up with Beckett and confronts him. They both have a conversation, and Han ends up shooting Beckett before he can return fire. The whole quick draw Han shoots first, kind of showing like he's really good with his gun. He's really good as a pilot. He's that cowboy. So he shoots faster, and Beckett's all up to this point been like the fast guy with a gun. Like no one's ever beaten him. Yeah. So with his dying words, Beckett tells Han that he made a smart choice because he would have shot Han. Qi'ra leaves in Voss's yacht while Han and Chewbacca turn the coaxium over to Enfys, who offers Han a chance to join the rebellion against the Empire. When he declines, she gives him a valid coaxium, enough to purchase a ship of his own. Han and Chewie locate Lando and challenge him to a rematch in Sabak. Once again, we dream the Falcon.
So, before that happens,
yes,
Lando sees Han walking in.
Yes, he's all happy.
And then he walks in, and then Han pretends to be mad at him,
hey, like, buddy.
But grabs him. That's when he sees.
Exactly.
He saw the thing, so that's why he grabs him.
And he grabs it out, which was like smart move, man.
Yeah.
But he gets it all set up, and he's like, and then so of course Lando with all his buddies is gonna like, okay, like he's angry, but he's like, I gotta keep my cool here. Let me finish this up, and we'll get into the characters. Yeah. So they agree to have Lando have as a rematch. In Sabak, once again, we dream the Falcon. Han wins, having stolen the car Lando was keeping up his sleeve in order to cheat, and he and Chewbacca leave for Tatooine on the Millennium Falcon, which is now owned by them, where Han heard a crime lord is putting together a profitable job, and the film ends. We know that this to be on Tatooine. We assume it's Jabba the Hutt, which again, a sequel, because we know in the original trilogy that he owes Jabba money. Yeah. So the second movie could explain what happened and finalize Qi'ra and Maul. Yeah. Which I think is something you cannot leave open like that. That's a potential another Sith train. He could train her.
So that was one of my flaws I didn't like with this movie, was not knowing, having the ending. It left it so open, and not knowing if they were going to do a sequel.
Well, they planned it. It was when the sales numbers came out and just did as bad. Like, okay, we're stopping all these stories. They canceled the one. I believe the script was already done for the Boba Fett movie. Yeah, they're like, we're canceling. We're stopping everything. We're stopping all this stuff, and we're gonna rethink. We're gonna rewind here. We're doing the trilogy with Rian Johnson. We're doing the trilogy, and they're kind of like, we're just taking a breath here. And so like the only thing that's coming out now is the Rise of Skywalker, and then we'll kind of reconvene after that. And that's all. That's all that they've done. Yeah. Now the way that the movie has been, and now that it's coming to Disney Plus. It would suck to leave an ending like that, especially if they own the franchise with as much money as they have. Take the billions of dollars you made off the main series, off the shows, off the merchandise, and invest it in a movie. Put it on Disney Plus if you don't want to put it in theaters, but make an ending to that movie. Yeah, I think it's an absolute must.
Yeah, it's an open end that they need to close.
Yeah, absolutely. And I would go see that movie hands down. I'm like, I'm all in. Darth Maul, Han Solo, Jabba the Hutt, backstory. Qi'ra, did she become a Sith?
What character? Maybe she turns into a character as
There's a lot of potential.
There's a lot of potential.
Yeah, future.
So that was the story. Briefly, the synopsis there. So we kind of went through. So let's dive into anything that we liked, didn't like, specific things we want to call out. Who wants to go first?
So my biggest issue was the open-endedness of the movie. I thought it was great. Great story. It really showed, Han, how he became that, he was just arrogant at the beginning, but then, he wanted Beckett to show him, when he did that spinning of the gun, he's like, you gotta show me that. Yeah. So he learned from Beckett, all of his slick moves, the quick draw, all that stuff. How he and Chewie met and had that bond together and grew together. I thought was great. It gave that backstory that just adds to episode 4, 5, 6, and so on. So I really enjoyed the movie that way, and just the open-endedness drove me nuts. I wanted to see how Darth Maul was involved in it, where Qi'ra, does she turn into a character that we already know about, or someone new?
I don't think she's someone we know about, but there could be connections with her. There's rumors, is she the mom of Rey? But if you look at the timeline, this is before the original trilogy, and Rey is way after it. That would not make sense. Could she be a grandmother or something? I guess it's possible, but I don't see a connection there. Yeah. Other than the fact that, again, she also has an accent, like Rey has an accent, and Obi-Wan is the only 3 people that weren't on the Empire that had an accent.
Maybe a granddaughter of, right? Like
it's potential. There's potential.
Yeah,
there's a lot of theories, but I think she's her own, and I think that they could tell, again, this would be a great spin-off story. Let's talk about Qi'ra. She's set up. She's trained by Maul. They could give her a lightsaber. They may not. Yeah. But they could make an awesome story or a TV show or something with that character, I think.
Yeah, definitely.
I think instead of a lightsaber, I think that sword, right? That blade sword, the blade sword. Yeah. I think that'd probably be... Or light dagger, I should say, not sword. Well, it's not going to light swords.
But even so.
I'm hard-pressed to find something really negative about this movie. I really personally love this movie. I love comedy about it, how it has those action-packed things, has the background of Chewbacca and Han Solo, and it gives you so much information, and it doesn't feel like it's rushed.
It feels fun.
Yeah, and it's a nice, I don't know, lighthearted parts of it, but it shows some emotion as well with L3 and Lando.
Yep.
I mean, I didn't find anything was like, dragging on. I found everything had a purpose to it.
Yeah, very balanced. Movie.
We did this part of the movie because this is going to impact it a little bit over later on, and it just ties everything nicely together. It works as a standalone, and it's completely different from a traditional Star Wars film that you'd seen before.
It wasn't all about the lightsabers and Jedi and stuff like that. It was something a bit different than that.
It was different. I went in expecting it to be okay. Like I didn't have overly high hopes, but I didn't go in thinking it was going to be terrible either. And I was pleasantly surprised. And I really, again, like you said, the only really thing that bothers me is that where's the rest of it?
Yes, yes, like make that sequel, and then I'll be happy.
Yeah, exactly, absolutely.
It'll add to this.
If it didn't show Maul, and it ended with like her killing the boss, and she decides to become the new leader, it would have been a good ending. Okay, that's cool. You could end that way, but because you left Maul the way you did Maul, and everyone who presumably loves Maul as a character, and then again, if you haven't watched,
a lot of people hadn't watched Clone Wars, so they didn't know.
Yeah, there's a lot of backstory for this character. There's a lot more of him, and a lot of people who haven't watched the TV shows have just watched movies going like, Maul, how is he alive? A lot of people are confused. I'm like.
And then
watch the shows, watch like comics. Like we all know that he's alive. Well, most people know that he's alive. Like, come on.
Well, then they wondered. Those that didn't. Was it before Episode 1? Where is the sand in the?
Yeah, some people were confused. I'm like, no, this is after. But again, it was cool. They got Ray Park to come back, and it was like it's Darth Maul the way we know him. I'm like, yes, like there's so much right for that character, and I'm like, there's potential now to go. He's doing stuff for Jabba, but he's his own crime syndicate, and Jabba is not part of Crimson. So there could have been like Darth Maul against Jabba the Hutt, boom, 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 and that's how Han lost his stuff because one was after him, so he had to drop it for his life. Maybe Maul was after him, and so to save his life, he had to drop it. Now Jabba's after. There's so many things they could do.
Yeah, definitely.
And so Disney, if you're listening, please make that sequel. But yeah, so you guys
bring in the bounty hunters as well, of course.
Yes,
like
absolutely, you can.
Yep.
Yeah, I agree.
The movie,
Yeah, it was enjoyable.
I enjoyed the movie. I came out, like I said, better than I thought it was going to be. I enjoyed it. I knew I was going to enjoy it. I never come out of a Star Wars movie and said I hated it. Never. It's a Star Wars. I'll enjoy it. There might be some I like better than others.
Yeah.
But I generally, if I'm going to sit Star Wars and I get what Star Wars is to me, and this didn't have the Jedi and the Force powers, and I still enjoyed it, it did a great job. For me, the character that stole the show was Lando Calrissian.
Yes, he was very.
Oh my gosh, Donald Glover.
I think
he looked like him. Yeah. Personality of him.
Manners.
He killed it, and I was like, "That is Lando. That is phenomenal. Bring him back. I want to see him back."
Yes.
However it comes back, bring him back. Like, great, loved it, and Han grew on me. The Aaron, I can't remember his name. Aldrich. It's German, but
sorry for butchering your name.
Yeah, so he, I think it was like Aldenreich or something like that. If I remember, a German guy was pronouncing it. Anyway,
Ehrenreich.
Yeah, it's
Ehrenreich. Yeah.
But anyway, so his charm and his development of Han Solo. By the end, I'm like, yeah, I can see Han.
Yeah, at the beginning,
now, a young Han,
I was like, not
like it
sure
wasn't
about
Han
it.
that we know that's cool and suave. He's still growing, but I felt like by the end of the movie, I'm like, okay, you're almost there.
Yeah.
And the charm grew on me, his smile grew on me, and I was like, you know what? It's not bad. I enjoyed it. Was it Harrison Ford? No. But it's a young Han. They specifically said this is young Han Solo. In the video games, it's young Han Solo. It's not Han that we know him today, the grizzled veteran who doesn't trust anybody. He's still naive. He's still got stuff to learn, and we got that. And I thought he did a great job.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But hands down, Lando Calrissian, Donald Glover won. Dryden Voss, I thought he was a cool villain. A bit one-sided, you know. Do what I say, I'm gonna kill you. He's a pirate, whatever. Cool weapons, but it was what it was.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and it wasn't in it too much, right?
Yep.
Well.
Qi'ra, I thought had some cool development of like, you know, being best friends. You think you know her, and then boom, 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 she's playing people and she's backstabbing. You're like, oh, she's on her own. I was impressed with her.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, the surprise of Darth Maul at the end was phenomenal, and yeah, I enjoyed it. I really enjoyed the movie. That's saying a lot. So
yeah,
you think this doesn't have the Jedi and the Force. This is the lowest on my list, but no, I came out and I enjoyed it, and I want to see more.
Same here. Yeah. I'm definitely looking forward to that.
Okay, so before we get into the ranking, let's go through. So plot, solid? You guys like the plot?
Yeah, it was solid from beginning to end, you know.
Made sense?
Yep.
Yeah, like I said before, everything seemed to have a purpose, and it seemed to tie together, and it had like a, not a conclusion in terms of the end, but it had some of the things that were, like the Chewbacca and Han, okay, it explains that. The life debt, yes, explains that. Like it explains a lot of things that you see.
Yeah, we could see.
Yeah, smuggler.
Like how do you learn how to quick draw? How do you learn this? How do you blah blah blah? He always was a good pilot, but he learned stuff. He learned how to be quick on his feet. He was taught to like don't trust anyone, and you got through situations, people double crossing you, and you kind of get that mindset of it's me and Chewie, I guess, against the world.
Yeah.
So that was cool.
Yeah.
Okay, dialogue. Anyone have any issue with the lines, the one-liners, the quips?
No, the one-liners, you know.
I liked
most of it was pretty funny and
witty.
Yeah.
L3 especially with the humor there.
It's probably one of the most wittiest of the whole saga.
And again, I think that's Phil Lord and Chris Miller.
Yes.
22 Jump Street, 21 Jump Street.
Yes.
Clone
style. And you
Clone
think
High. I don't know if anyone sees.
Do you think if they did the whole movie, it would have been different than what we got? Like much more different? Do you think Ron Howard really changed it, or do you think he just kind of finished up some holes and left their initial vision in there? Because my understanding is they were fired. They weren't. I don't think they left.
They got fired or let go because they're too
differences.
Like
it was like too much of a comedy. And they're like, no, this is Star. It's not. It's getting too much. I don't know. I didn't see their.
And they winged it a lot. Apparently, Disney felt that they kind of winged it a lot, and they kind of let the cast do their own thing, and kind of with a comedy that.
And that works. Like Robin Williams was king on a lot of his movies to do a lot of Chris Farley, improv, and it works when you are a comedian.
Yeah. So I think that was one of the things that Disney didn't like as well, and
And this actor for Han Solo, was this not his first major?
This is his breakout role, I think. I'm sure he's done other stuff. I mean, I don't think they get someone who's like, oh, you had nothing on your resume.
Yeah.
But I mean, this is his breakout role. This is what I don't know anything else he's been in, but I'm sure now you'll go through his filmography and see.
And maybe to give that, maybe he wasn't experienced enough for that to work for him to give him that much, improv ability and stuff like that.
But if you look at the original trilogy, was that the case for Carrie Fisher and Mark Hamill at the time? Harrison Ford was the big name on that set. Anthony Daniel was big on the stage, but not in movies. My understanding was like this was a lot of not huge names other than Harrison Ford, and even him. I think he only did one big film right before George Lucas. And George Lucas was one at the time who didn't hire a lot of the same actors for his new movies. He liked always doing fresh faces, new talent was his thing. But he brought Harrison Ford back, and then again he did it for a third time with Indiana Jones. But yeah, Mark Hamill and Carrie were new faces; they were new talent.
Yeah. But I think for the directing style that they had, where it's more improv and giving more free will, that might have been hard for a first time big role, rather than having the set direct and being told what to do, and then you can be like, okay, I can do this. This is the line I'm supposed to say. This is how I'm supposed to act. Instead of saying, just kind of do whatever you want to do, and the actor's like, oh man, this is a big deal.
And I think the fact that is also probably they wanted a little more comedy as well, right?
Absolutely.
I don't think it would have been much different.
No,
I don't think it would have been much different. There would have been maybe a little more humor, maybe a little bit change in what happens in the story. But
do you think it would have tied together as nicely as they did with the parts run and some of the other little details? Do you think that would still have been there, or do you think that's probably what was missing? Things like that.
I
I
think
mean, it's all guess, but
I think you had to have that in as part of the story. So I think
to
that
make
was
this
gonna,
solid.
yeah, like that was like one of the main plot lines. Like I assume like, you know, meeting Chewbacca was a main plot line. That dealing with the whole Kessel Run was a huge plot line. You know,
Lando
becoming
betraying Lando,
how they met
you
Lando,
cheat, you swindler,
stuff like that.
No, and then
learning
that
skills,
and that makes sense why when they get together, and he's like. He thinks he's gonna kill him, and he's like, ha ha ha. He's like, your friend, because well, let's be honest, he cheated you first.
Yeah.
So while it's true, Han Solo cheated me out of the mountain, and he's always upset about that. But you cheated him first.
Yeah.
Like it's always been you both have been cheating, you both have been whatever. So it's cool.
Yeah, and he would have lost it legitly in that first game if he didn't pull that card out.
That's correct. But Han didn't have a ship anyway. So either way you look at it, everyone was cheating everyone.
It's true.
Yeah.
So smugglers gotta smuggle. Scoundrels gotta do their thing. Yeah, I enjoyed the movie a lot. I thought it was cool. Plot, like we said, was great. Dialogue was great.
Yeah.
Let's jump into villain. Jordan Voss. What do you think?
I mean, I didn't think he was great. I thought he was just like a mobster kind of thing. They could have done maybe someone
Very flat, very like one-sided.
Yeah. Not much character development to him either. He's just kind of, you know.
Did he feel menacing and like, oh, this guy, don't mess with this guy? No,
not really. I mean, maybe it's because I see him as Vision and like just, and he doesn't look like a scary guy as an actor either. But
other than like when you first see him, it's like he's killing someone and he's
that's
red.
And that's
like,
about the extent. And then he kind of shows a little bit of weakness by forgiving them and making things, you know, like letting them have a chance.
Yeah.
Talking tough.
What would have been cool is if they had one of the crew survive, and then he kills them, and then says, "Okay, his life paid for this." Now you have like then it's like, "Oh wow!" Like, but you're right.
Yeah.
It shows.
He wasn't like big and menacing or like.
But I think if you made that him feel like he was that big of a thing, it takes away from other parts of the movie that they're trying to establish, like the background and stuff.
Correct.
So his purpose, I don't know if you can really like he's a bad guy, but like he's not a true villain. He's just there for the purpose of hey, they have to answer to this person. Okay,
what about Emphas Nest? Until she's revealed to be a rebel, she is a villain or antagonist to our.
I liked her. She kind of reminded me of Boba Fett. And
that was the point.
Kind of,
this mysterious character who's like killing and awesome and whatever. You don't know who they are.
Tracking and
like Emphas Nest, watch out for him, watch out for him. And it's like, oh, it's a girl.
Yeah. So I thought that was a great twist in that, and not really the bad person. Yeah. Just like the whole war, you know, are they really the bad guys or who's the good guys? And one thinking that they're good and the other thinking that they're also good, kind of thing. But showing that they're the first rebellion was kind of cool as well.
Okay, and what about CG?
I didn't have any issues.
The biggest CG for me was going to be the worm at the beginning and the big alien in the sky during the black hole scene. I think I noticed any other CG. I think a lot of it was practical, or at least it felt a lot practical.
Yeah, I didn't notice a lot of issues with CG or anything.
It was what it was, right? And I think the cat hounds were CG, but other than that,
But in this day and age, you know, they've really detailed, like, gotten it down to fine art.
Yeah, come a long way. Yeah. So good. Okay, so with that being said, let's rank the movies.
All right. So does it take over spot number 3?
All right. So let me go through what we've got here for those who just joined in. So our rankings are as follows. As of right now, we have in third place Episode 1, The Phantom Menace. In second place, Episode 2, Attack of the Clones, and in first place, Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith. So the show of hands, is Solo a Star Wars story better than Episode 1, The Phantom Menace?
Yeah.
Okay. Is it better than Episode 2, Attack of the Clones?
Yes.
Okay. Is it better than Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith?
Yes. I have to say
you
yes.
You have to be honest. Agree or don't agree.
Yes. I'm going with yes.
Okay. I'm at a no.
Yeah.
Okay. James at a yes, so it's majority.
Yep.
We're not, at the end of this, the ranking is not going to be our personal ranking.
Yeah.
Because it's majority.
Yep.
And if you want, we can each do our own personal ranking after, but this is just show of hands.
So it's a close one. It's going to go in my second slot.
Okay, so we're both saying not better than 3 right now. Okay.
Yeah. It's close. I like the overall story of Episode 3 better. It's kind of closer to my heart as well, with, you know, Anakin and the Jedi and the fighting scenes. Mm-hmm. I mean, what puts Solo really close is the comedy and it's a good mix of comedy, adventure, action, romance a bit with Qi'ra and Han, and then the Lando and L3 and stuff like that. But just doesn't quite top Episode 3 for myself.
Okay, well, yeah, for me, like I said, this is all subjective, and for me, the surprise at the end was great. I enjoyed the movie as a whole, but again, Star Wars for me is it's still missing. As much as I enjoyed the movie, and I'll watch the movie again, and I still enjoy it, and I love the characters and I love the actors, and way better than a lot of the prequels that have come out from dialogue, from plot, from the story. I still, for me, is like that stuff that wows me is that lightsaber fights, the force powers, that stuff, that mystical force. Like that's what draws me, and so because that's missing, that's why as Revenge of the Sith kind of gave me that a little bit more than the other prequels, and so that's kind of why I feel like it's just a spot above Solo. Close by far.
I was like,
close.
Not quite.
Sorry, James. I know you wanted to go, but that's where we're at for now, and things will change. Things will change.
Yeah.
So as of right now, we have in first place Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith. In second place, Solo, A Star Wars Story. In third, Episode 2, Attack of the Clones, and in fourth, Episode 1, The Phantom Menace. What's going to happen with the next few Star Wars movies? You'll have to check our new videos to find out. With that, folks, just wanted to quick housekeeping. So, what do you think? Do you agree with us? Do you not agree with us? Drop a comment below. How would you rank the movies you've done so far? Let us know what you think they should go at. Is there any parts of the movie that you liked, you didn't like? Did we miss anything that perhaps helped solidify some of the other movies of the universe?
Or anything that we might have missed?
Yeah, let us know. Like the video if you liked it. Dislike it if you don't. Of course, if you'd like to support us, please click that subscribe button. We'd appreciate the support. If you'd like to send us an email with some topics that you'd like us to cover in the future, please drop us a line at nerdstalkinfo@gmail.com. If you'd like to reach us on other social media sites, we are on Twitter and Instagram @TalkNerds. And with that, friends, as always, stay nerdy.